Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel. And my channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. And yes, welcome to another recap, folks. Just to let you kind of set it all up for you. It is, as you know, I don't typically tape this on the same date that it gets published, but it's Saturday morning, and as you could see, short sleeves are gone. It's really cool. 8 degrees this morning. Going to go play golf in about an hour or two. It's 4:30 in the morning, and I'm doing this recap, and it's quiet in the house, of course. Everybody's sleeping upstairs. My son's over because he's just in transit, and you know what? I looked forward to it. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and I said, I've got to do that recap. And, you know, all to say is that I get fountain pen therapy even in my sleep. I have my espresso and my coffee and my cappuccino. I'm all set. We've got another great show for you. We got to keep thinking. It keeps us focused, I try to give you content and different content every week. Not an easy task, but it's a challenge, and I never lose sight of the fact that I've got to entertain and inform. And that challenge is there every week. And I think I meet the challenge, or I have fun meeting the challenge. And that's what's important. Even if I don't meet it fully, not always satisfied with my recaps, but you know what? It's so much fun doing these things that, what can I say? It gets me to wake up at 4:30 in the morning on Saturday morning before I go and play my golf game. So there we have it. Stay tuned. Fountain Pen Therapy presents weekly recap for September the 14th. 2025. Okay, so for the first segment, what's new in the market? Let's take a look at Chinese market and elsewhere and see if there's any new products that have kind of attracted my attention and that you guys can keep paces with. Again, I feel so guilty because a lot of you mentioned to me that, Vincenzo, because of you, now I'm spending money. I don't make me feel that way. On the other hand, I think there's a compliment there somewhere, and I appreciate it, and I think it's all in good fun. But I don't want you guys to go out and exaggerate. It just gives you an idea of what's out there, and then you can list your priorities, time your purchases, or even just enjoy your pens. There's a lot of variety in this recap, so there's a little bit for everybody, and it's not meant to have you consume. It's meant to inform and entertain. So there you have it. So let's take a look at the market. We'll go to my computer and we'll start with AliExpress. One item that took me by surprise here is this one. This is what they're proposing is a Jinhao 9019 body and nib, I believe, that's probably been cut out so that it becomes a flex. They actually give you a video as well. So it gives you an idea. There's two types of nibs that I see here. I see what looks like the Jinhao number 8 size nib, but there's another nib, which is this one here. Now, it just looks different from the Jinhao. It may be the Jinhao nib that's just been kind of shaven down, and there's a cut to make it a little more, what do they call it? They give it a name, and I forget what name they give it, but, it's a very pointy nib. But basically, it's the Jinhao 9019 body. This one here, they kind of, given it a flex shape along with cutting the tip, so making it into a kind of a stubbish sort of thing. There is also another body. Now these things are pretty expensive. They're between $85 and $100 plus. There's another pen, and it's this pen. Again, I think they give you a very similar offering in terms of nibs. And they're all flex nibs, but the pen is very different. I know this pen is also available for sale separately with another nib, but these flex nibs have really attracted my attention. Now, are they worth $100? You get the pen and the nib. I'm thinking about it. If I should go ahead and purchase, I will let you know. Again, it's 365-day stationary store, which does offer some variety. I know they do a lot of that, those beautiful bodies, Mackie bodies for pilot pens and even sailor. So they're offering some variety, and it is amongst my favorite stores on AliExpress. Very reliable as well. The next thing is I noticed the Lemon M8. I don't believe that this pen, I think this is a new pen. I had never seen it. And I kind of stumbled on it by error, just because I was clicking on one store to another, and then I ended up clicking on this store by the name of Day Writing House, and I landed on this Lemon 8. Now, again, forgive me, this thing may have been out already, and if it is, I just noticed it, so I thought I'd mention it to you. I think I'm going to get one of these. Now, typically, this looks like a Mont Blanc inspiration as well. I've got to choose which pattern. I'm going to go with the hand-polished medium lemon nibs, which are just fabulous. If you go with the regular nib, it's $39.79 Canadian. If you go with the hand-polished lemon nib, the price jumps up to about $52. And if you go with the long knife, it's even more expensive, which is the $56. But I thought I'd mention Lemon M8 looks like a new offering. What else have I got? Oh, I thought that this was well priced, $6.32 Canadian for one of these blotters. If you guys don't have a blotter, well, this is a cheap version, and that could be interesting for you. It comes both in kind of a lighter pine color or a darker black. $6.35, I think it's a great deal. What else have I got for you? Oh, I wanted to show you, let me just see if I've got it here. No, I think that wraps it up for AliExpress. Those are the major items that I thought of interest. The rest is kind of already déjà vu. Now, I noticed that Rhodia as a pen. This is the Casa della Stilografica site, and they have this Rhodia Script Orange fountain pen. I believe they come in other colors as well. You've got black, you've got a kind of a brown, a sage, and you have a titanium. Now, titanium I think really refers to the color as opposed to the material. I'm not sure that these pens are titanium. If you look at their description, Do I see anything? Yeah, brushed aluminum. If I click titanium just for the fun of it, it's still brushed aluminums. But I thought that would be interesting, and we're talking about $45, 45 euros, which is roughly, what is it, maybe $70 Canadian or roughly $50 American. Kind of rivals with the Chinese pens. It comes in fine and medium. And if this product is as good as their notebooks, then maybe it's something to look at. I may just end up. I want to see if I could purchase it more closer to home because it's coming from Italy, and they're going to be custom duties, delivery charges, and the pen is going to cost me double. But if I can find it elsewhere, a little bit closer to home, I may very well go ahead and purchase that, and we'll give it a go on this channel. What else have I got for you? At Gold Spot, I noticed this Monteverde vegan leather zippered 12 pen case. I think it's very interesting. Looks really nice, nice and large, and for $36, and that's Canadian. They sell it in 36 pens as well, I believe. So this may be an actual deal at 36 Canadian, 12 pen vegan leather case. I think was worthy of mention. So there you go. What else have I got for you? Oh, speaking about pen cases, well, Esterbrook looks like they've come up with their next version. I really like it. It's kind of like a box, kind of a version. I have one where you just have one layer, but this one here has two layers. It's a $200 Canadian. This one, they're all double layered, I think. Yeah, maybe not these. These kind of look like just in a box form. A little expensive, but Esterbrook makes very nice products, and I thought I'd mention that this product appears to be, and I've seen this product on sale on several of retail sites. Do I have anything for you? No, that's it. So that's what's new in the market in terms of what's attracted my attention. I'm still looking for, I saw a video on the new sailor nibs. Now the person who made that video kind of suggests that maybe these new sailor steel nibs are going to replace the gold nibs in all of their pens. I've been trying to find whether or not it's already out. If you guys have any further information on that, please let me know. I'm really anxious to receive or to buy a pen with that new nib, see what it's all about, where they're going. Is it because of gold prices? Is it because the pens have become totally unaffordable if they turn to gold? I've also heard, I believe it's Visconti, will no longer be making their pens with 18 karat gold, but only 14 karat. And I may be wrong about Visconti, but I know it's an Italian brand. So as you can see, I've seen Leonardo Officina Italiana go with that big number 8 steel nib, which is fabulous. So is it a new trend? It may very well be, given gold prices and tariffs and all the rest of it. Frankly, I've always been impressed by 18 karat nibs until I discovered that in most cases, the 14 karat is a lot more, is softer, a little more flexy or bouncy, if you will, than the 18 karat. So it may not be a bad thing, especially given that, let's not forget, you can have gold and titanium and steel. That tip is what counts, right? And that's a completely different alloy. So in any event, there you have it. If you get any news about that sailor nib, please let me know, and we'll get it to this channel right away so we can review it for you. That's it for what's new in the market. Stay tuned for my next segment. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with the next segment of this recap, which is what's new in the fountain pen therapy studios. Again, this is a moving target. I'm hoping that between now and Sunday, the date of publication, things are coming. I know Amazon's ringing constantly at my door, and AliExpress as well. But what I propose is that we start with some paper. Now, I promised you all that I would do a kind of a comparison between the new Obanichi 2026 or 2025, 2026, 2026 with Kimbor, the Kimbor, which is that Chinese version, if you will. I'm waiting for one additional product, a Chinese product, to do a complete comparison. So that will not be this week. Hopefully by the time next week rolls around, I will be able to have all the products delivered to my house so that we could do a more complete review. In the meantime, I thought that we would take a look at a paper that's extremely inexpensive. And let me go to my overhead camera right away. I have two samples of it. I know it's Doodlebud swears by this paper, by the way. This is MUJI paper. It's Japanese, MUJI. I know they have an outfit in Canada, in the West, where these things are really, really not expensive at all. But unfortunately, they do not deliver to Quebec or to Montreal, where I am. So I have to get these on Amazon, and Amazon got a little premium on it, so the prices jump a little bit. But I'm going to put up on the screen, because I don't have it readily available, the difference in prices, just to show you if I can find those. And then you can, and if you're interested in the paper, then you can choose the place of purchase accordingly, depending on where you are in the world. So here you have it. I have two versions of it. I have I guess these are travel book type of inserts that you can put in other sleeves, and it has a lined version. Very, very. It's a thickish paper, I would say to you. It's not as thin as Tomoe River. It does have some texture, but fairly smooth texture, I would say. Then there's this other version. I just don't enjoy the spiral versions because it interferes in my writing. When I'm here, that sort of thing. But you may prefer this type. And this is the dot grid. Very nice. It's got a very simple dark, thick cardboard cover that is holding up not bad with an elastic to close. So it's very simple, but I think it's good paper. So we'll take a look at that. We'll do some writing on it as well. And we'll do, of course, the first part will be some ink swatching, and I will set it all up, and I'll introduce the inks that we're going to be looking at this week. Be right back. Okay, I'm back with the inks. I have 5 inks to look at this week. I'm going to continue in my Robert Oster, and we're going to kind of complete all the Robert Oster inks that I have. None of them are shimmering inks. These are all fairly standard inks, but I think inks that are interesting, that I think were worthy of mention. I've pulled out, I have about 3 or 4 Robert Oster kind of yellowish gold inks, and I thought that this honeybee is a very popular one, so I thought we'd take a look at that, even though it's not one of my favorite colors, just because it's very difficult to write with this type of ink. But we'll take a look at that. We have 2 blues, actually. We have blue denim and ocean. Then we have a green, which is a crocodile green, very nice green. And then we have this Astorquiza rot, which is kind of a brown. So those are the 5 inks that I propose. We're going to put that right here. And we'll be doing the swatching on that MUJI paper along with a comparison. And the base will be Tomoe River. So this is my Tomoe River paper, and this is my MUJI paper, and we will take it from there. So I've got my water all set up. The folded pen will do the swatching, and I'm going to do the writing with this kind of modified nib that I showed you last week, but that I'm going to get into a little more once I do I'm working on a more detailed video for dip pens. So we're going to take a look and see how this works out for us this week. So there we have it. We have our cloth. Take a sip of my coffee. And I think we're all set to go. Okay, let's start with this. Let's get it out of the way, which is this honeybee ink. It's a yellow ink. Hopefully, it's been some time since I've played around with it. It does have a darker complexion as for a yellow ink, and it even has kind of a green base. So there you have it. That's the first one. So it's not bad. It's really not bad for yellow ink, but difficult. Let me just make sure I dip it enough here. Okay, so this is Robert. As you can see, it's very difficult to see. Whoops. Not enough ink. Okay, let me start that over again. Robert OSTER. And it's honeybee. Robert OSTER. Honeybee. Okay, that's the first one. These bottles always terrify me. They're plastic, they're very light, and I'm always weary about leaving them just opened without being very careful, because I might spill. So we'll do the first blue one, which is this blue denim, which I believe is the darker of the two. So beautiful blue. I think that, in my view, in any event, when you're looking at Robert OSTER inks, that I think their best inks are their blue inks, and they've got a real variety when it comes to their blues. Really enjoy their blues. And I'm glad I did this, because I kind of ignored Robert OSTER for a while. Haven't been using this ink until I resurrected them, so to speak, just for these recaps. And I've got to tell you, I regret not using them, so they will be in my sights in the future. This is the Ocean. It's a lighter blue, but still very, 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 very nice. And as you know, I'm a fan of this lighter blue these days, so it's going to find its way in some of my pens sometime very soon. In fact, I'm going to make sure that we write with this ink in some of the pens that I propose for next week. Yeah, so this is Ocean. Okay, we're getting there, folks. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you've had a great week. enjoying your hobby. I know that I've got all kinds of things in the pipeline that I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's kind of been a little bit slow getting to the house for some reason, including AliExpress. With AliExpress, they sometimes surprise you and deliver fairly quickly, and at other times, you take a look at the tracking and they just barely got out of the country. And you're saying, wow. And then all of a sudden, bang, very quickly it gets to your door. So I'm hoping that at least for this show, I get some things that I was expecting. But I've got some really nice stuff coming down the pipeline. And I will make the announcements in due course, just when they get, close, so to speak. I've got some brand new pens. 2 gorgeous Italian pens are on their way. And we've got some really nice ink as well that I've been meaning to showcase. And unfortunately, the maker of the ink, or the company, they sell pens as well, was on vacation, or summer vacations shut down their outfit, and so I have to wait until September for delivery. But I just got a notice that the delivery had been all set up and with a tracking number, so I know they're on their way. Okay, so we did the rubber OSTER. I put ocean. That's my mistake. Sorry about that. It goes to show you can't talk at the same time as you write. Let me just finish this. Of course, that green is crocodile green, but we'll correct that in a second. And I noticed that I lost a piece of this do-it-yourself nib. So I'm going to have to go get it. It's probably in that water. I shook it too much. So this is, what do they call it? Astrochiza. I can never... Astorchiza. Rot. So Astorchiza. Rot. And what we'll do, shut this down, is go back to my crocodile green and correct my mistake. Again, difficult to talk and write at the same time. So this, of course, is not ocean. It's crocodile. Crocodile green. Here we go. Very nice green. Okay. Yeah, on the nib, I have 2 pieces to it that kind of serve as a reservoir, one at the bottom and one at the top. The top one seems to have disappeared. I think I just need that, for at least for this purpose, but nonetheless, I'm going to go get it. It's probably in the water that I use to clean these nibs. So there you have it. I think 5 pretty inks. We'll let them dry, and we'll see how the MUJI paper compares to the Tomoe River, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the inks dried. Now, as you can see, this gold is not bad at all. In fact, I may even consider maybe inking one of my pens with this ink and just give it a go. Because it is a very, much, darker yellow. So it's got a nice shading, some sheening there. If you've got the Robert Oster, which is a dark bluish with the red sheen, and then you have the light ocean. I think this MUJI paper is not bad at all. It may not have the same sharpness as what you see on the Toma River. And my camera's playing tricks on me. Here we go. But it's fairly close. And you can see the green is very close as well. And so is that Ester Kiza rot. So the paper has performed very well. Now let's just see what's on the other side. You can see typically that, yes, you can see, and we'll compare it to Toma River, because Toma River is even more, I would say. So the bleed through is pretty equivalent, okay, in terms of the swatch. Of course, you'll see the ghosting on the Toma River, and the ghosting on this paper is fairly light as compared to Toma River. So not bad at all. It does have a little more texture, and maybe we could do some writing on it right away, just to see what gives. No, you know what? Maybe we'll reserve that for a little bit later. Let me ink some pens with some of these inks so that we can kind of take a look at how that paper performs. Okay, so there you have it. That's the ink swatching therapy, and stay tuned for my next segment. Okay, so one other product I received this week, I finally took the jump and purchased this pen, which is the Jinhao 58. Forgotten the number there. With this wooden barrel. Again, the theme of wood, because I'm preparing a video on some wood written instruments that appear to be more and more in vogue. The pen is kind of Lamy Safari-like, if you will, in terms of design. But it's got some, unique features, I think. And in fact, if we take out a Lamy and we can compare, here's a Lamy. So, the clips are different. Even the shape of the cap is different, but it just evokes Lamy. So there is enough unique. I think the Lamy's ink window is there, whereas this one is not a snap cap, it's a screw cap. The ink window is, the ink window, it's a cartridge converter, so you can always unscrew it to see where you are with the ink. Very similar, I would say to you, where it becomes even more similar is the nib. It has that kind of triangular, smallish nib, along with this triangular shaped section, which is typical of Lamy. So there is some Lamy characteristics. But let's take a look at, it's a cartridge converter, so it's very simple. Standard converter. Very light. But I think for a student pen, for example, I think it would serve well. Now let's just take a look at the writing. I keep forgetting the number. It's 58 with the wood barrel. Because I think it also comes in some resins or acrylic. So that's nice too. The nib only comes in fine or extra fine. So this is a fine. It's not bad, I gotta tell you. Now, what ink did I put in here? I put Robert Oster Ocean. No, I didn't. At the end of the day, this is Scribo blue Capri. Sorry about that. So it writes a very, very nice line on this MUJI paper, which, by the way, has impressed me. I'd forgotten how good it is. If we take, to see what it looks like on Tomoe River paper, let's take this notebook, which is, Albanici 2021, which is the original. Goes down even smoother, I would say to you, on the Tomoe River paper. Thin, fine line, no bounce whatsoever, but fairly constant. No skipping, fairly smooth. So, nice little pen, especially for the price. What is it? I paid this $8. So for students, get different inks and different colors in there. You know what? For $8 Canadian, which is what, $6, roughly $6, $6 US, delivered to your door. Nice little pen, the Jinao 58. I'm glad I got it. Okay, so I'm back with another pen, and as I've mentioned, these programs are always a work in progress because I don't know what I'm going to receive and who's going to be at the door at any minute. And here we go. I just got this pen. Again, it's my fascination and my for wood pens and how they appear to be trendy these days. And I saw something on AliExpress that caught my eye, and I figured that I'd go ahead and order it. Whoa, I got to tell you that it's a lot prettier in real life than it is on some of the advertising on AliExpress. It's a Benovell. I believe I own one other Benovell writing instrument. Is it a screw-on? How do I unscrew this? Or is it? That's strange. I got to figure out how to uncap this. Well, that's not starting very good. Let me just figure this out and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. It's just my hands are so slippery that I couldn't get any strength. It is a little hard, mind you, but I'm sure that will, it'll kind of loosen up as usage. Standard cartridge converter pen. The metal part appears to be anodized aluminum. At least that's what it looks like. The finishing of this pen, I'm not sure I'm going to do a full-fledged review of this pen. So we'll take a look at it now. This is a probably, yeah. So, isn't that interesting? So it snaps on really nicely. So you can cap it. I really like the wooden part here. There's, it's well treated, and it just, I think, now this is a little bit slippery for my taste. Wish it would have had a little bit more grip. But again, I just washed my hands. I'm back from golf, so my fingertips are very, very slippery, so to speak, because I've been, using the fingertips. There's no sweat on them. There's absolutely no grip. So it's kind of a combination, which is not a good one. But there you have it. That's the Benovell, and I'm not sure there's a name for this. Let me just check very quickly to see if it has a name. It's the F317. So F317, and I've ordered it with the medium nib. So I'm going to ink it with that Robert Oster Astorzica Rota, kind of brown to, or maybe the blue denim. I haven't decided yet, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I decided to ink it with the blue denim from Robert Oster. So this is the Benovel. Yeah, my ends are all golf ridden. F317 wood barrel. The nib is a generic number 6 steel, and it's a medium. By generic, I mean this one. You can see it just says Erodium point on it, so nothing special. I may very well end up changing that nib for something else. I can think of a Kegaloo nib. I can put in a Yowo nib. We'll figure it out eventually, but for the time being, I want to give this nib a go. The section is a little slippery, but again, I repeat, my fingers are very slippery at the time being, so I'm going to have to test this in time. The nib is very wet. As you can see, fairly smooth. Not the smoothest, but I think it's a good kind of a fine to medium nib. It's not a thick medium, and it's not a fine either. It's somewhere in between. I haven't measured it, but fairly constant, I would tell you. I don't see any, it's just very stiff. Now, is it any different on Tomoe River? I always find that there's a big difference, and we'll do some writing on this scrap notebook I have. So this is the, yeah, you see, it's just performs so much better on Tomoe River. Still a little bit of texture there. I can feel it, but smoother on Tomoe River. What about posted? Let me just see how that feels. Yeah, that feels absolutely fine. Like I said, it appears to be aluminum, so it's not, you know, a metal that's fairly heavy that, you know, would create an unbalanced pen. I think that's good. Very nice. I think it's a good-looking pen. Now, that mechanism is a little hard, but I think it's going to get better as you use it. I just like the shape of this pen. I think it's pretty. Is it worth the 24 bucks Canadian, which is roughly, what, 18 US? I would say to you, yes, but it'd probably require a change of nib just to make it a little more interesting, but I think it's a nice collection, nice addition to my wood pen collection that I'm going to show off in a video sometime soon. So there it is, the Benovel F317. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back with the currently inked. What did I have this week? These are the pens I had this week. Now, I forget if I added some compared to what you saw last week as my next week weapons. I believe I may have added this Etruria, and I'll explain to you why. And there was a couple of disappointments, and I'm not sure what the cause is, but we'll go through all of these one at a time. I think the main motif was to have as many Ultim pens, and these are all the Ultim pens that I have in my collection. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have an Enso. I have 3 EDC AliExpress Ultim. I have a Gravitas, a small pocket pen. I have the Good Blue Flex, and I have a Ranga with a flex nib. So the rest is the Asvine C2000 in the Ebonite version. I wanted to play around with this stub nib in my new Asvine V126, and I also wanted to test this new Hongdian A7 that I bought. As to the Etruria, this is a Stipula Etruria, the rainbow edition. One of my viewers asked whether or not these pens suffer from dry nib, and I originally answered to the viewer yes, but I've been pleasantly surprised. It just goes to show you that sometimes it's either the ink, or because you wash out the pen properly, or all of a sudden this pen does not have a dry nib issue. But before I say that, let's test it, okay? And we'll get to my V126 with that stub, and I'll explain to you what disappointment I had during the week. But now let's I haven't, some of the pens I did not use, so I'm hoping that they will all write on me and that they have enough ink. They should, but let me just bring that closer. There we go. By the way, I'm using this old Obonichi. This is a 2021 cousin, just because I had some pages left over, so why not? And it's Tomoe River. As you know, it's my favorite. I really like this pencil, by the way. This is the Pilot S20. There is an S30, and I'm seriously thinking about getting it. If anybody has the S30, let me know what is the difference between this one and that one, because the S30, which is the new edition, runs anywhere between $65 and $85. And before I spend that on a mechanical pencil, it'd be nice if some of you can weigh in on that. Let me just get that. So this is the Pilot S20 mechanical pencil. And it's a 0.5. What I realized is that, I think I mentioned that last week, is that in the past I could not write with a 0.5 lead because I would keep breaking the lead. Well, I just did it there. I was about to say that I think I've evolved, but I think I had too much. Trust me, I wouldn't be able to have gotten away with writing this in the past. So there may be some evolution there. And I think when you write with, consistently write with a fountain pen, you learn how to be a little kinder to these writing instruments. So it didn't give me any problems all week. I got to tell you, beautiful. Let's look at my Stipula Etruria and see if it's going to dry up on me. Oh, there you go. Stipula Etruria, which is the classic Stipula model. This is the rainbow pen. And it has a Stipula 1. Well, I think it's a 0.09 stub. It's probably among my favorite stubs, if not the favorite. And I picked this pen right out of my pen cases. I hadn't read with it in months. And it just wrote the way you see it right now. So whoever that viewer was where we discussed dry nib issues with Etrurias, he was suggesting all kinds of ways to ensure in the pen that the pen wasn't perfectly sealed, and he had all kinds of solutions. But you know what? This was the pen that I was worried about. It's a beautiful pen that I did not use very often because of dry nib, and all of a sudden it isn't anymore. So go figure. Go figure. There may be all kinds of reasons. This is my Enso. I never liked this pen. I still don't like it, and I never used it. So this is the Enso Italia. I replaced the nib because otherwise it would have been a complete, utter disaster. This is the Ultim, and it's got a, I think it's probably a Yowo. Is it a medium? It's a Vizier branded Yowo nib. Okay. Yowo, I think it's medium. I don't like this pen. Don't know why, but it got on my nerves from the very get-go, and I just don't enjoy it. And that happens, folks? You get something in your head that something is not what you want, and sometimes very difficult to get it out of there. This is the EDC Ultim, and it's a fine rollerball. I don't like fine on the rollerball. Kind of slips away from me. I don't have control over the writing. And it may also be a function of the fact that, we are fountain pen writers, and oftentimes rollerball writing experience is very, very different, I find. Sometimes we need to resort to roller balls or ballpoints, but if I can avoid it, I always do. This is my pleasant surprise. As I mentioned last week, I thought this thing didn't post properly, but all you have to do is just push it in a little bit. So this is the EDC Ultim pocket pen. With that luscious, fine Schmidt nib. Used it quite a bit. In fact, I was afraid that I was going to, run out of ink, and I did not have red ink this week at the office. I forgot some. I usually have blue, black, and red, and I just had blue, black, and I bought one bottle home, and I forgot to bring it, but there was sufficient ink. I don't use red pen, for long writing sessions. I really only use it to do, some highlights on PDF documents that I'm reading, or corrections on some of my procedures and my briefs, etc. This is the EDC Ultim standard pen. By I mean standard size. Again, it has the Schmidt. What a luscious nibs. This is a medium. It almost writes like a broad. Some would say too wet. There you go. Very nice. I enjoyed this one. I used a little bit of this one, a little bit of the pocket pen, just because I enjoyed those Schmidt nibs. The Gravitas didn't get a hell of a lot of work. I don't believe I used it once. You might wonder, which is too bad because it's got some very nice green ink. Not EDC, what am I writing? It's Gravitas. And yes, I know this pocket pen has a name, and I keep forgetting it. I think that's a broad nib. Difficult to say who makes those nibs. And speaking about gravitas, I've got that gravitas monster on my mind constantly, and it's in a cart somewhere. I think Penn Venture, and one of these days I'm just gonna go ahead and push the button, so to speak. Now, one of the viewers told me, "Wow, that paper is awful," because we had some other Tomoe River in terms of ghosting. I got to tell you, the camera exaggerates the ghosting. Let me just, it's so much darker than in real life. And what can I tell you? If you use Tomoe River paper, and it was with this Magnum rollerball that I had the most difficulty, you have to kind of live a little bit with ghosting, but the writing experience is unmatched. This is the Good Blue Ultim with a fine flex. I believe it's fine, or it may not have a size other than being a flex, but very enjoyable writing experience. A little bit of a gusher, but very nice. No leakage. Great pen. Really nice pen. Look, no leaking in the cap. Now, this pen was used a hell of a lot. I'm not sure it has any more ink. Is this a... Yeah, it's not a piston, so I should be able to see. Yeah. Let me see if it writes. I'm going to fill it with bluish gray again from Dieman. So this is the... Yeah, it doesn't write anymore. Too bad. I'm going to fill it in right away with this ink, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite. In fact, we will do it right away. With your permission, folks, I want to write with this pen. It gives me therapy. I'll do a quick filling here. Where's my cloth? And this Ebonite AC2000 is just fabulous. And as I mentioned in the opening segment, it looks like Asvine is coming out with the wood version of this pen, the stable wood, again. And that may explain why Fig Boot thinks it just came out 2 weeks ago. It's been reintroduced. And the reason I say that is because I was contacted by Asvine, and they offered to send me their new version for review, and I said sure. And I chose a light blue. I think they call it Oasis, that I didn't have, stable wood. I think what's new about it in the 1.1 stub, because I think that stub is fabulous, I think what's new is that they fixed the gasket problem, the dry nib issue. But that was fixed some time ago, so they may just be reintroducing or restock the pen. Look at this. Yeah, it's Hongdian bluish gray. I think I'm going to order 2 more bottles of this stuff because, I don't know how long these Hongdian inks are going to be offered. Not familiar with the Chinese ink market. If you're dealing with the major brands like Dieman, etc., they're going to restock. But will Hongdian restock? I'm not sure. So I'm going to order a bunch of bottles because it's quickly become one of my favorite blue inks. Let me just okay. Yeah, let me just see if I could just bring it in a little bit. Take a look at that. Just fabulous. It's really a blue-black. A blue-black. This is my, and look, I don't see the ghosting that the camera sees. It's a lot lighter than that. And it just gives the wrong impression of this paper, but it is what it is. So this is the Ranga, and I believe it's the Model 3 flat top. With the Fountain Pen Revolution. Extra fine. Ultraflex. I recommend these nibs, folks. They're not expensive, and they really flex nicely. And actually, this is the dual-toned gold and silver. But if you get the silver, it's even more flexy. Don't know why, but that's the way it is. Just a beautiful, beautiful nib. Here I do have some leakage, but nothing that, and my fingers are not green, so. This pen got a lot of work. I think there's no more ink. I forget now. And I'll explain to you why. Yeah, it's run out of ink. One of the reasons is that I wrote a lot of notes on, on this kind of pad. It may have not have been this particular brand, but, this kind of cheap, it's a cheap paper. It's not the best paper. Just because, if I'm going to write, hundreds of pages of notes, I can't, spend $80 on expensive notebooks. But an agenda is one thing. But and then, I take these notes and I throw them away. So, and what I found was that this pen, the V126, to my great chagrin, would die on me. Let me just see if it writes. You see? And trust me, the valve is opened, but I don't see the ink going all the way down. And for some reason, it's either the paper doesn't like this nib, and it's not a dry issue. I think it's a flow issue. It's just not flowing. It's as if that feed cannot properly feed that 1.1 stub. So I was extremely, and even this, I don't know if you could see this, but look at that. The ink is not going beyond it. It's supposed to be a valve that if you open the valve, the ink is supposed to come down, and it has a hard time coming down. Either the rubber is too big, and when it does, it takes too long for it to get into the feed. That's my suspicion. Or the feed is clogged, and I'm not using, the ink I used in there is nothing, there's no shimmer ink in there. So let me just see if, okay, it's come down finally. Asvine V126 with the stub 1.1. And I'm using this paper just to see if it stalls on me again. But it was as if it didn't like the paper. But, well, it seems to like it now. Well, you see here, and it kind of just, after a while, what's the expression? The quick brown fox jumps over the, what is it, lazy dog? It's writing nicely now. It's just Murphy's Law. Just when I wanted to show you a potential problem. Stay tuned, folks. I'm going to be using this pen again next week. And I noticed that the ink, again, the ink kind of just, look, there's too much. It just doesn't want to go down. It goes down slowly, and then, but if the ink doesn't go down all the way, then of course it's going to, and then you turn the pen around because you're storing it. Of course it's going to dry up on you. I don't think it's an issue of, and it's as if that little valve doesn't, I have to move it a little more, I got a feeling. And then hope that the ink goes down. But again, look, there's too much space there. The ink's not going down. I got to figure out what the problem is. Because I don't think it's a seal problem, because the cap does have a very good step here. I think it's just a question of, look at this. You see because if I turn it over, you won't be able to see it, but at this angle, the ink should be going down, and it's not going down. It's like stopping at the big stopper. So I'm going to have to take a look at that. Maybe empty it out and just see what's happening in there. So anyway, so this pen I find was really good with this paper because it's thin, it's a fine, and it comes down a lot thicker. Let me just show you. I'm going to ink it up and read right back. Okay, I'm back. Needless to say, I put Andean bluish gray in here. So let me just get a little bit closer here. Okay, yeah. So this is the Hongdian A7 with Hongdian bluish gray. But yeah, it writes really nice on cheap paper. So now, reason why I ordered this one is because it is the modern, or the second version. Do I have the first one here? Not too far. Yes, I do. This was the first version. No, that's my Asvine. Don't have it. In any event, the second version has kind of matte. The stable wood is matte. And my first version, this section unglued from the nib section. But I heard other viewers saying they had the same problem even with this second type or second version. So I guess stable wood is problematic for the Chinese pen market because it's not the first time that we've heard stable wood pens from the Chinese market have problems. But there you have it. I think it's a nice pen, and I really enjoyed it this week. So there you have the pens for this week. Let me just... Yeah. And what we'll do now is I got an idea for next week. So stay tuned. We're going to show you what my weapons are for next week. Be right back. Okay, so we're back with the weapons for next week. Now, I want to see whether or not you guys can guess here, okay? Some of the pens may give it away. and what the theme is here, because you got a variety of pens and you got to figure out the theme. Okay, so let's go through these pens, and as you go through, maybe you'll figure out what that theme could be. And we'll do some writing. I put some of those Robert Oster inks in some of the pens that needed to be inked, so we'll be able to take a look at some of those inks as well. Okay, so this is the Ranga Abhimanyu Grande. Never know how to spell it, but I know you folks want me to write what ink I'm using. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't. But this time I know because I just inked it. And it's with that Robert Oster Crocodile Green. Now, this has got a Schmidt broad nib. Okay. You're still guessing what the theme is. This might throw you completely off. This is a Visconti, the Mirage Mythos Apollo. The ink unknown. I forget what ink I put in this one. The nib. Oh, it's a Visconti branded nib, and it's a steel number 6 medium. I don't know if you got the theme yet. Maybe this one will give it away. This is the Admoc A8. A08. At least that's what they described it at the time I purchased it, which was several years ago, I must tell you. And the nib is a Schmidt and I think it's a fine. Number 5. Steel. Fine nib. The ink in this one is the ink we just saw. Robert Oster. And I got to get this right. Astorquiza. Rot. Have you guessed it so far? Okay, well, do one more for those who haven't yet surmised what the theme will be. This is a LIY, and I forget what the model is, frankly. I'm not even sure there is a model. And it's blue. Nice little pen. Great chatoyancy. I would say galaxy blue. The nib is a Schmidt number 5. This is a fine nib. The ink I put in here is that Robert Oster denim. or blue denim. Very nice ink. Okay, so that's that. Come on, folks. You must have guessed by now. Yes. It's pens that have Schmidt nibs. So there you have it. Now, let's take the next one, which is this Fambu. And it's demonstrator. I don't think it has a model. I don't know what the ink is, but the nib is a Schmidt number 5 steel. Fine. Yes, indeed. These are all my pens in my collection that have Schmidt nibs, because one viewer asked me, you know, in what other pens do Schmidt nibs come in? Well, you've got a few choices here. This is the Admach M800, and it's got a Schmidt. Look at this broad nib. It almost writes like a double broad. And of course it's a number 6 and it's steel. Isn't that juicy? Very juicy. So this is the M800. This is a Admach for lack of a better model number, I'm going to call it duofold. There weren't too many of these. I'm not even sure they still make them. And the nib, again, of course, is a Schmidt, but it's a number 6 steel, and this one's a medium. The ink is that Blue Ocean, so it's Robert Oster Ocean. Very nice. Now, this is the Admach M400. It's got a Schmidt nib, and it's a fine Schmidt nib, steel. I don't think Schmidt makes gold nibs, I don't think. But this is a flex. Can you see the cut? The nib is cut all the way down. So I bought this, I think, on FP Nibs, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a, Admach M400 in Blue Galaxy. Just a beautiful little flex nib. And the nib is a Schmidt number 5, but it's a fine flex. The ink in this one is unknown. Oh no, it's the Blue Ocean. Blue, or just Ocean actually, from, again, Robert Oster. Very nice little flex nib, folks. Okay, let's go to the next page. Scrivener, one of the reasons I think that Scrivener may be a popular choice in pens, I mean, they have these kind of, metal Amazon-type pens that you can buy, but they have those Schmidt nibs, and that's what saves them, in my view. So this is the, Scrivener. I think it's EI or V, EI or IV. EI. And it's the black model. I forget what the model number is of this pen, if any. And it's got a Schmidt number five steel medium. The ink is unknown. I should know, but I don't know. Same goes with this one. Caps, and you can screw it in. Beautiful pen, though. Again, this is a Scrivener. Yeah, you know, blue. I don't know if you can call this a pocket pen, but I will. And again, it's got a Schmidt number 5 steel medium. The ink is unknown. Bennu. Although I've noticed that they've now turned to Yowo nibs. I don't know if it's a choice that you have. I haven't checked their website recently. But this is just a juicy, juicy broad. So this is Bennu. And it's got a Schmidt broad. Which is extra smooth in my view. The ink, if I am not mistaken, is Scribble Verde. So it's Mediterranean green. Beautiful, beautiful ink in a really nice pen. It's the only Bennu pen that I own, but it's a very nice one in my view. I think it's amongst the biggest model in terms of the model has the biggest body. Next one is my AdMock 300, or is it M300? I forget now. Not AdMock. Sorry, Moonman. I think it's M300. And the nib is again a Schmidt number 6, and this is a fine. Ink, it is that Robert Oster Astrokiza, is it? Rot. But you see it's much darker, and simply because there was a darker ink in here and I didn't completely flush it out. Just flushed it with a little bit with some water and then inked it. So it's a little bit darker than what you saw earlier from the AdMock. Okay, but that's essentially it. And then there's this, which is a pen I might discard because I got to choose, because I've seen this already last week in the Ultim form. But this is the EDC, but pocket pen. Titanium. And the ink is Scribo Blue Capri. And the nib is a Schmidt fine nib. And it's a number 5. And there you have it. Now, just so that we don't waste another page, the roller ball is the M800. And I believe they have Schmidt. How do I turn this? Oh, wait a minute. How does this come apart here? Okay, it was just tightly. I believe it has a Schmidt nib. Yeah, it's got a Schmidt nib. So, Schmidt, not nib, refill. And this one is a broad. Last but not least, folks, my pencil. And this is a 0.9, so this is the spoke mechanical pencil. With a 0.9 lead. There you go. Okay. So those are my pens. Here are my pens for next week. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, so we're back for the last segment, which is YouTube review. And first of all, I'd like to review my own videos. If you haven't seen them, I have two last week. First of all, there's the recap for last Sunday. And again, my recaps deal with general things. There are a lot of goodies in there. So they're not time-stamped and then go away and no longer relevant. You can always find something interesting in all my recaps. Take a look at the timestamps. It'll give you an idea. And I try to make the timestamps as explicit as possible. So if it deals with a specific paper, you'll have the paper there. And if it deals with a specific ink or pen, you'll have it mentioned so that you can look through the timestamps and see if there's anything that interests you and, go straight to that section and this goes from recap to recap. Having said that, take a look at my recap for last week. There's also that very informative, I find, comparison of all the Ondean nibs, and there's quite a few of them, so take a look at that video as well. Now, in terms of what other reviews or videos I recommend that's out there, I have 4 to recommend to you. First of all, Stationary Scholar, which is this, and I said Japanese, and somebody corrected me, it'd be Korean. It's not Japanese because the viewer is right. You can tell from the handwriting that it's not, but they're dubbed in English, so you can take a look at them. He takes a look at the new Schaefer, and when he does that, he goes through the history of Schaefer and the various models, including the legacy. It gives you a little bit of the corporate history and how it's now the William Penn Company that owns Schaefer. And he reviews the old and the new. Some of you have been thinking about, as I am, whether or not that new version of the legacy Schaefer is in the steel nib, how it compares to the vintage. That could be useful. 2, Sterling Inc. has a couple of videos on all their products. Sterling Inc. being a Canadian company that sells Obonichi style planners for next year, and she's got the whole repertoire there. She goes through them all. So that's, if anybody's interested in that, that's an alternative to explore. 3rd, there's Mick L., the Offstage Me, that reviews the Gravitas Monster. And as I've mentioned to you, I'm really thinking about buying a Gravitas, and it's in that it's in the cart, and I just have to press that button. It's 285 euros, which roughly is $450 Canadian. So I'm hesitating, but man, does it look like a nice pen. So Mick L reviews it. And then Pen Venture does a video dealing with, and inside the video, I think it's called, he reviews everything that he's adding to his pen collection, but I believe it's referenced Monster left or right, that sort of thing. But he reviews the Monster in detail in the sense that he gives you samples of the broad nib and the extra fine nib, which answered my question, because I wasn't sure. Am I going to order that, the fine nib, the medium nib, or the broad? And I think after seeing PenVenture go through a broad writing sample, I think I'm going to go with the broad. Let me know if any of you own that pen. Is broad? It doesn't strike me as being a huge broad nib. It's somewhere in between medium and broad, and there's a little bit of stubbiness to them, to that number 8 size nib. So I may end up pulling the trigger, so to speak, on that one. So those are the 4 videos that I recommend for you this week, and that have attracted my attention. Last but not least, what's going up next week? Well, you're going to have this recap for sure. I haven't quite decided what I am going to publish during the week, so that will kind of be a surprise. But here are a few that are pending. So it might be any one of these, or maybe something else that might come into the Fountain Pen Studios. I've got some gorgeous Italian pens coming, and I'm really looking forward to one of them. So if that comes in between, I might just jump the ship, so to speak, and just get that review out midweek. There you have it. I'm glad you were able to join me one more time this week. I know I have a lot of very loyal viewers who expect this recap and enjoy this recap on a monthly basis. I just noticed my camera. There's some difficulty there. It's not focusing. It's kind of going crazy on me, but I apologize for that. There you go. You see? It kind of goes back and forth. So I've got to check what's wrong. It might be a little sick, or maybe it's because it's getting hot and warm, but we're going to check that out, and I apologize for that. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing, and it helps the algorithm. Enjoy your week. Enjoy what appears to be the last days of summer, and slowly creeping up autumn. At least here where I am, there's a big difference. And you know what? Enjoy your pens, enjoy your families, be well, take care of yourself, and we'll see you sometime soon. Bye now.